You saved $3 million, retired at 56, and everyone called it a success story. But what if the biggest risk to your retirement isn't running out of money? What if it's realizing 5 years in that you built the wrong life? That's what happened to a client of mine. And what he told me changed how I think about the whole thing. Hi, I'm Mark Wisniewski, president of Southern Incomes. I've spent years helping people in their 50s and 60s figure out not just if they can retire, but whether they should, and what actually happens after they do. What I'm about to share isn't in any retirement calculator, and the people who miss it tend to find out the hard way. David's story. David was 56, just over $3 million saved. His wife was still working part-time, no debt, kids out of the house. By every financial measure, he was ready. His advisor gave him the green light. His colleagues threw him a party. He felt like he had won the game, and the first 6 months were great. He slept in, played golf, traveled, worked through the bucket list that he'd been building for 2 decades. Then something started to shift. Around month 8, he told me he woke up on a Tuesday, looked at his calendar, and he realized he had nothing meaningful to do. Nothing scheduled, nothing meaningful. That distinction hit him harder than any market crash ever could. Why this happens? Here's what most people don't see coming. Retirement isn't just a financial event. It's an identity crisis in slow motion. For 30 years, David was successful, a senior executive. People wanted his opinion. His calendar was packed because, well, he mattered. Then overnight, the emails stopped. The meeting invites dried up. His phone went quiet. The money stayed. The purpose didn't. And David isn't some edge case. Research consistently shows that people with a stronger sense of purpose have significantly lower rates of cognitive decline. Retired adults report lower purpose than same-age peers who are still working. And that gap links directly to higher rates of, well, depression and anxiety. Your brain just doesn't need something to do. It needs things that matter. If you're watching this and something's clicking, if you spent a lot more time thinking about your portfolio than about what comes after, that's exactly what I help people work through before they make that leap. Links in the description if you want to talk. But first, let me show you the 3 questions David wishes he'd been asked. They'll matter whether we ever talk or not. And pay attention to the second one. It's the one that blindsides almost everyone. Question 1. What replaces the structure? Nobody tells you this about freedom. Too much of it is exhausting. Your job gave you more than just income. It gave you, well, a reason to get up, a built-in social world, deadlines, goals, a rhythm to the week. When that disappears, you don't feel liberated. You feel untethered. David told me the hardest part wasn't missing the work. It was missing the feeling of being needed. A few weeks ago, a retired Hall of Fame professional athlete was asked, "What do you miss the most about not playing anymore?" Now, he had won Most Valuable Player awards, Olympic gold medal, a Stanley Cup championship. He didn't mention any of those. Instead, he paused and said, "I miss the camaraderie of being with my teammates in the locker room, and that's almost impossible to replicate." I hear some version of that almost every week. Question 2, who will you actually spend time with? People picture long lunches with friends, spontaneous trips, all of it. But their friends are still working. Their spouse has their own rhythm. And suddenly, they're spending more time alone than they have in the last 40 years. David's wife worked 3 days a week. His closest friends were 5 and some even 10 years from retirement. He was eating lunch alone a lot more than not. That's not just uncomfortable. Loneliness carries a real health consequence. Heart disease, stroke, cognitive decline. It's not a feelings problem. It's a physical one. Question 3, what are you retiring to? David knew exactly what he was retiring from, the stress, the politics, the grind. But when I asked him what he was running towards, he went quiet. It was crickets. That silence told me everything. He had an escape plan. He didn't have a purpose plan. And escape plans have an expiration date. David's quote and the rebuild. About 18 months in, he said something I haven't forgotten. I spent 30 years optimizing for financial freedom. I never spent 1 hour optimizing for fulfillment. And now I have all this money and time, and I don't know what to do with either of them. That is why I do this work. So we didn't rerun his projections. We rebuilt his retirement from the inside out. We found what he called his contribution gaps, places where his skills could still create real value, not for a paycheck, for meaning. He joined 2 nonprofit boards and he started mentoring younger professionals. You can do this too, pro bono or for pay. One of the first things I tell pre-retirees when we start is this. If you're really good at what you do, I can almost guarantee someone's going to track you down and want to pay you for your talents. 3 months later, he told me he felt more alive than he had in years. It happens more often than not. We put structure back into his week deliberately. Tuesday mornings were for his mentorship. Thursday afternoons for board prep. The week had shape again. He went from dreading Mondays to, I think, looking forward to them. And we had an honest conversation with his wife about what this chapter actually looked like for both of them. Turns out, they'd never really talked through it. She assumed that they'd travel more. He assumed they'd be together every day. Neither assumption was right. That one conversation probably saved their marriage. The big picture. Here's what most advisors won't say out loud. The behavioral side of retirement and the financial side are the same problem. If you retire into emptiness, you'll either overspend trying to fill the void or maybe underspend because nothing feels worth doing anymore. Either way, the plan falls apart. No spreadsheet catches that one. David's in a much better place now, but he did tell me he wishes someone had asked him these questions before he retired, not a year and a half after. He had the money, he didn't have the map. Stress test your life. Before you go, if you're inside of 5 years of retirement, here's what I want you to sit with. You've probably stress tested your portfolio. You've run the numbers at 62, 67, and at 70. But have you stress tested your life? Do you know what a Tuesday looks like in year 3? Do you know who you'll call when something good happens? Do you know What's going to make you feel like you still matter? Those are the questions that decide whether retirement is the best chapter of your life or the loneliest one. If you want help building a map before you need it, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.